Okay, fifth graders, let's take out your hardcore brace social studies textbook all about the United States and please turn to page 613. Yesterday, you'll remember we learned all about President John F. Kennedy. He took the oath of office in 1961 and you'll remember he was only 43 years old. He worked to inspire Americans to work for the good of their country, and he was very popular with young people. While he was in Dallas, Texas campaigning for his second re-election, he was with his wife Jacqueline waving to the crowds. As her car drove through the streets, President Kennedy was killed. His body was taken from Dallas to Washington, D.C. on Air Force One. On that same plane, Air Force One, Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson took the oath of office. Documents in front of us, we can see that we have a communication from the White House to the radio traffic aboard Air Force One, and it's regarding the flight from Dallas to Andrews Air Force Base, which is located in D.C., on November 22nd, 1963. We also see we have a photo of President John F. Kennedy's body being taken from Air Force One to the Hearst. And we also see a newspaper article about Kennedy's assassination. Understanding the difference between a primary and secondary source, these three would be considered a primary source because they're a first-hand, original account about a person, place, or object, or an event. In this case, this is about an event. We enjoyed learning about President John F. Kennedy's assassination from our social studies book. Understanding that we know what a primary source is and a secondary source is, we can understand that this textbook is considered a secondary source because it's an account that is taken from an original or primary source.
Struggling with the casket, it appears to be the casket, struggling to get it out of the plane. The bright, shiny casket glistening in the lights here at the airport.
Casket is a dark brown in color, slightly reddish. It looks as if it's bronze.
Guard slowly marches away from the plane, leaving room for the elevator-like apparatus that is now being lowered. Seems to have gotten stuck. The apparatus is coming down now.
Navy ambulance is being drawn up just near the truck which lowered the casket from the plane. It is our understanding here that the body will be flown by helicopter from here, possibly to Bethesda Naval Hospital.
Other senators have reported that the body will be taken by helicopter straight to the White House. There is some difference of opinion as to the exact plans. Behind the casket is Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy. To her right is her brother-in-law, the Attorney General, Robert Kennedy. They are helping her down out of that carrier that has just brought down the casket.
Mrs. Kennedy is apparently getting into the ambulance, the Navy ambulance, with the casket.
I flew the same airplane that President Kennedy was brought back to Washington, D.C. on the day he was assassinated. I have over 1,000 flight hours on that aircraft. The day that President Kennedy was assassinated, they had to bring his body back to Andrews Air Force Base from Dallas, and it's the first time that a coffin was ever placed in the 707 airplane that was used as Air Force One to fly President Kennedy. Period.
Go ahead.
Because of the problems they had that night that they tried to bring when they brought President Kennedy's body back from Dallas, they had to do so many configuration changes inside the airplane that on the design of the new 747 and the current Air Force One, they actually designed into the interior of the airplane and made it accessible to be able to reconfigure the airplane quickly and easily to put a casket in there should the situation arise again. A fun fact about Air Force One is the colors that were chosen. And they are actually chosen by President Kennedy's wife, Jacqueline Kennedy. When Air Force One first came about and they got the first jet airplane to fly the president, they wanted to paint it a really cool color. So Jacqueline Kennedy, as the First Lady at the time, chose the robin egg blue, which is on the bottom of the airplane, and the royal blue on top with the white and gold stripe. All presidents have code names. The Secret Service selects a code name for the president so they do not have to use their real name. President Kennedy was Lancer. During my time on Air Force One, President Reagan was Rawhide, President Bush was Timberwolf, President Clinton was Eagle. And also a fun fact that the airplane that President Kennedy flew on was the same airplane that I flew on only 27 years later. I was 3 years old when that airplane came into service and the year that President Kennedy was assassinated. And when I was 30 years old, I flew as a crew member on Air Force One for the next almost 10 years.